Hello and welcome to yet another video. And today we have a Asus Prime X370 Pro on our bench. I don't know what is wrong with it. Because of the last times that the board blew up on my bench, I want to test the 12 volts just to be sure that that isn't shorted. So let's do that. So let's go on a 12 volt resistance just to be sure. And it seems to be high. There we go. Kilo ohms and rising. That is very nice. So, let's then go over to building up this bench and using our power supply. And we're going to be putting in a 2200G. So we have an APU to have a video output and not rely on the PCIe to work. And I can already see that this slot is very dirty. The slot has a lot of thermal paste at the top. Okay, that might be an issue. It might need to be cleaned, but let's first just drop it in. And let's also put some RAM in. And before, you have seen me using this DDR tester a lot. This I use mostly for the debug, the debug postcodes that are on here, and also the LEDs. But I've been recently, someone from Egypt who's making their own DDR tester has commented under one of my videos, and I got in contact with them and asked them if they wanted to collaborate for this DDR tester. This DDR tester mostly is a voltage tester for SPD, VDD, VPP, VTT, RCA, RST, and post. RCA doesn't tell me anything, to be perfectly honest. Don't really know what RCA is. Reset signal, of course, and the postcodes. This has also some postcodes. It takes 12 volts to connect to. And yeah, it's, as far as I know, it's its completely own design. I've seen something like this before being sold in Russia. But this is the one that he made. His name is Alex as off, I think it's called. I'm not too sure. Sorry if I mispronounced that. But let's put that also in, and I want to show you that. How it looks and what it tells you. So we're just going to connect it, just like before, into a DDR slot. And this goes into a fan header. So this takes 12 volts from any fan header. We're going to do it down there. Let's quickly also check the BIOS battery while we are troubleshooting. And BIOS battery is very new with 3.2 volts. Someone probably tried to replace it while because of the board wasn't working. Do we have post LEDs? I don't think that we have any post LEDs. So we will have to guess at what stage our board is stuck on. So, okay. You can see this is where I mostly look at, but this is the display for the power supply for us in the video. So let's see for the passive power consumption. 130, 140 milliamps. Looks very good with the LEDs turning on, the backlight LEDs. Let's just get a power button onto here and a speaker and see how this board reacts. So let's see now. Pressing the power button. And this sounds like RAM is missing. And looking at and now we will have a good look at this tester also. Let's turn it off once more. We saw a lot of power consumption. So 2.4 amps. This goes to DDR as far as it seems. Let's get under the microscope so I can show you this better, how this works. So let's have a look. My magnification is quite big on the microscope, but we will go through it bit by bit. So we're going to turn it on. And now you have SPD, which is 3 volts and sometimes drops down. And then you have VPP, which should be 2.5 volts, but it's only 0.8. And also our VDD, our RAM phase is also low. So something is wrong with our RAM phase. And the indicator that there's like, it's white under there, means that it isn't right. That something isn't working correctly. So it appears to be that we have some issue with RAM, which also indicated by the post beeps. I definitely need to get a heatsink onto here because the CPU was getting very hot. But I'm not too sure if we're actually stuck or if we go further. Let me try that again. I now have a USB keyboard in there for indication. So let's turn the power on again. But it seems to be that we are stuck at like 2.4. Yeah, but I think we have a problem with RAM. And we might have heat signature then somewhere. Yeah, we're definitely not getting pulse. And we're stuck at like 2.5 amps. And it's weird, our VPP seems to be jumping very weirdly. So we will have to take a look at VPP, why that is the case. I'm not too sure which of these is supposed to be VPP, so let's measure that. So we know at which power supply we need to look at. So let's see now. Let's turn this on once more. So pushing power button. This is 2.5 VPP. Interesting. So this seems consistent. Maybe the RAM tester isn't in, or it is dirty. Let's plug these into different slots. And we still seem to have something with RAM. This is 1.8. But this is 2.5 volts VPP right here, and it seems to be fine. I will have to turn the board up to poke the VPPM phase here. .2, but is it consistent? It seemed to be consistent, okay. 5 volts. Interesting. So CPU gets very hot. But we do seem to have still a RAM issue, that our RAM isn't being recognized. So I've now tested all of the RAM channels, and we still seem to get the RAM error. So next what we have to do is we will be putting our data line tester for DDR into here, and we will see if we have all of the data connections or not. So for that we get our trusted old Chinese data line tester. Let's turn it on and see now. But all LEDs are there. So this isn't a problem. Interesting. Let's go into the other channel. So in the other channel, having a look, still all LEDs are on that we need. So we don't have a data line issue. So what I want to do, just to be sure, is I want to swap CPU. And I want to also take a different stick of RAM, just to be very sure that we eliminate any incompatibilities, or that some mainboards just don't like certain combinations. So we're going to be taking a 3000G, which is also an APU. And I will be taking a different stick of DDR4 RAM that I have. And let's test this again. So turning on the output and trying to turn it on. And would you look at that? We have no beeps anymore. And we have changing power consumption. And now we have beeps again. Okay. Interesting. So the change in CPU actually made something. But it went back to RAM as far as I know. And now we are trying to read the RAM again. So that still doesn't work, or again doesn't work. Very interesting. So for a short amount of time, we had like 3.5 amps, but that was the CPU starting up. Now we're back at a RAM issue. So what I want to do, let's turn this off. We've seen that the BIOS battery has definitely been replaced. We're going to pop it out. And there's a clear CMOS, clear RTC header at the bottom that I'm going to be shorting out now with my tweezers right down here. So we want to reset the BIOS, because a RAM issue very often is a BIOS issue, especially if you have the voltages that are on here. So now the BIOS has been reset. Let's try this again, and let's see if we get the 3 amps again. No, we don't. Okay, this board just doesn't like it. Okay. This board is just angry at us. Well done. So we still have an issue with RAM, but it's not a data line issue. So the next thing to do is to flash this BIOS onto here. And we've seen how, because this is an Asus board, we can't just flash the file that is on the website of the seller, but we will need to convert the .cap file that Asus provides into an actual ROM image, and we can flash onto this board. So, while I got this board, the opportunity to flash this board, I want to show you the how I make actual BIOS flash cables. So, I've shown before that if you have a header like this close to the SPI chip, you can actually take headers like this. This is a male to female header that plugs onto here, that goes onto there. And now you can actually solder cables to these contacts right here. And then you can have your own BIOS cable for flashing this kind of Asus mainboards. And if you don't have a board view, I'm using a board view for connecting it up correctly. You can also just use your multimeter. Like, I know that this first pin right here connects to this third pin right there. And like that, you can go through all of these and check which pin is supposed to go on which of these. Like the second one is, for example, this one. So first pin is the third one, second pin is the fourth one. And then you just continue on back and forth like that. So what I will do, I will now put this on and will solder wires to there. And then connect each corresponding wire to my BIOS programmer. I will show you that as soon as I've done it, but this will take maybe an hour now to make this cable, about that time, and then I will see you again. So just about an hour later, I got this cable made. As you can see, this is the connector now that goes into TPM. I've marked it Asus. These are all the cables. There's one 6-core cable and one 2-core cable. Well, because I didn't have an 8-core cable. And this is the other side, the adapter that I soldered it onto, which has these 8 breakout pins that go into my my programmer. And yeah, it's a mess. There's a lot of hot glue involved in this, in soldering it, but this cable will hold up good because the hot glue actually gives it very good strain relief. And yeah, that's about what we're going to be using for now flashing Asus BIOSes, which have the header close to it. But the thing is, there are two different ones. There's the small form factor of headers, like this one, and there's the bigger one. The bigger header are these usual ones that you know. I'm holding into this camera. This is the usual pin size. If you know anything about Arduino or like these pin headers, these are the default size on here, on these ones here. And there's also connectors that need the bigger one. So this is for Asus, but the smaller pitch. This is 2.54, I think, and this is 2.0. The width, I think it is, of these, or like the distance between them, I'm not really sure. But yeah, it's 2.45 for the standard one and 2.0 for these ones. And now I will be connecting this to my programmer and to this board to be able to flash the BIOS without needing to take off the BIOS chip. So I was now able to actually flash the BIOS via the cable that I just made that took an hour. Let's hope that it wasn't all for nothing, and that for this board actually the RAM issue is caused by a corrupted BIOS, because as we saw, the data lines are good and also the voltages did check out. So let's see if now we get a change and if our board still wants to beep angrily at us. We have the 3000G in here. We have passive power consumption, 130 milliamps, and the backlights are on, which is already a good sign that our BIOS did get loaded by the SIO. So let's press the power button now. Same thing. Let's hear it once more. Is it going to beep again? 2.6 amps, 2.7 amps. And we have stuck current. Now I'm wondering, are these APUs support? They must be, like either the 2200G or the 3000G must be supported in this, especially because this has outputs for video. But what we can try here is to put a 2600 in, or like any other AM4 that I have that doesn't have any video, and we're going to we are going to be using a graphics card in here. So let's try that, if it reacts differently to that. So we now have a 2600 in here with no GPU, and we have like it's not an APU, it's a CPU, and we have a dedicated GPU in here. Let's try this again. So let's turn on the power, and let's now hit the power button. And the same thing still occurs here. Very, very interesting. I want to clear this CMOS at least once more with the new BIOS now in. So let's do that. So with the CMOS cleared, same thing. Okay, it just keeps complaining and wants to complain. I want to at least a little bit clean out the socket. We saw a lot of thermal paste in there. And I will be using a toothbrush with just a lot of IPA. And we'll be drenching it and just be scrubbing around it to get as much as of the thermal paste off of there as possible. And let's try and see if we have any change with that done. And now the socket is cleaned out a bunch. I used a lot of IPA and also used compressed air for my air compressor. And let's see now if we have any different complaints from this board. Or are we still going to have the 1 long and 2 short beeps? And still same thing. Oh, I don't have a GPU in here. Let's put a GPU in here if this changed anything. But probably won't. Yep, still nothing. I have to go into the Asus BIOS or the manual and have to look up what 1 long and 2 short beeps mean. Like, I'm pretty sure that this is RAM related. Let's also once try it without actually having any RAM in it at all. So with no RAM now attached. Yeah, same beep code. So I would expect a RAM issue. So you currently can't see me because I'm at my desk, but you can see the actual page out of the manual. 1 continuous beep followed by 2 short beeps and then a pause repeated. No memory detected. So yeah, if we had 3 beeps, it would be a VGA issue. And 4 beeps would be a hardware component failure. But we're still at a no memory detect. So we will have to look closer into the memory yet again, or still, however you want to call it. Oh, actually, this board seems to have something very weird with it going on. As you can see right here, there's like solder residue right here. This thing looks like it's been in a solder bath before. Like that someone has... Some of these components were covered by tape, and that this board has been in the solder bath because it's very dirty in many places. Like, has kind of side of residue, like, yeah, like from a solder bath. It's really, really weird. Like, the backside really looks mangled in many places. I'm really trying to like make something out that is like properly bad, where I can say, yeah, we have to fix something. But so far I'm just very suspicious why this thing has been in a solder bath. And also you have like, yeah, burnt glue or something like that. Like here, glue residue also. With what I've seen now, I'm doubting everything. And what I've seen is that this board is heavily bent at the backside. Like this, like kind of white residue that you see, that happens very often from a solder bath. I know that because I work a lot with solder baths, and yeah, that is very typical for it to have something like that. So I've been back and forth so much on this mainboard, and I think I found the problem. The tester that we got from this guy, from Alex as of analyzer, it helped a lot in recognizing that while I was twisting the RAM in the socket, actually some of the voltages started to appear and disappear. And now let's have a look. I'm going to put some pressure onto this. You won't be able to see the power consumption because I'm connected to my lab bench power supply, but just listen. We don't have instant beeps. And soon there should be the one beep from the board actually turning on. And there it is. And there's a post screen. And we'll post it. Let's see. Do we just freeze when I let go? We don't seem to freeze. So this is past mainboard-medic. I was actually editing the video right now. And you can see that the RAM is not even being recognized. The BIOS actually says that all 4 slots of the DDR are not occupied, but the board has booted. Like, I've just noticed that now. In the later boots, the board will definitely have some RAM recognized. But right here in this image, there's just no RAM recognized. I've never seen something like that before. We actually are in BIOS and can do something. Let's turn this off. Now it's turned off. You can see it also by the CPU cooler. Let's see. We turn it on again. If now it boots just like that. Let's see. And it is booting. This is so weird. It is behaving so weird. So something about those RAM sockets is so iffy. I really don't think that we will be able to get all of the RAM working in here. Let me get some more RAM into here. And let's just see if I can get all of the RAM recognized in here. Now I think we already have a problem. Not too sure. Let's see. And with the now changed memory configuration, we're already not booting anymore. It's been quite some time. Okay, let me turn it off once more. And I'm going to try again to apply pressure to them, to both of them this time, and see if we can get boot out of it with me applying pressure. So this time instantly not recognized memory. And all of a sudden you can hear the post beeps. So let's go back to square one and try just one in the closest slot here. And with applying pressure to it. Let's see. And now we got boot. So this socket definitely also works. Okay, let's try the others. And once again, we get boot. Okay, let's try the last one. And with the last one, I also get boot. Okay, so we definitely booted. And let's now see if I get a second stick into here. And all of a sudden, while not applying pressure, we instantly got the DDR warning. Let's try this again. So I will be applying pressure. And instantly the RAM not being recognized. And I just cannot get it to boot with 2 sticks of RAM. Let's try different ones. Or let me just see if I can get it with just a single stick. So it works with this stick as far as... Yep, this stick also gets recognized. It is behaving so weird. Now putting a second stick of RAM into here. And now I cannot get a boot out of it. Okay, I got one more thing I want to try. It might be... I want to put a lot of pressure onto the CPU. If that changes anything. Let me try that. But it doesn't seem to change. I will try it again. Let me get an actual cooler onto here and see if anything changes. So I've now got an actual cooler on here. And now I will trying again with pressing down onto the RAM slots. It is so weird. It is behaving so inconsistent. The boot screen that you can see at the top right now is a stuck one. Let me get a single stick of RAM into here again and see if we can get boot at all right now. So I'm applying pressure on one stick of RAM, and now we're booting again. There should be a new BIOS screen every second and a BIOS beep. There's the BIOS beep and there's the new BIOS screen. It is just unbelievable how this board reacts, and it just reacts to changes in DRAM, and especially if I put pressure. I've now put it in without any pressure putting on it. Let's see. Does it now react? Okay, this time it wants to boot with just putting it in. Yep. Okay, let's see once more. If I put this one in here. Now we have two RAM sticks, and now we're booting. Okay, let's see if both of the RAM sticks are recognized. And they are not. There's only one stick. There's only this blue one being recognized. The green one isn't recognized. The black one in here. As you can see in the top left of the BIOS, the DRAM status, there's only a single stick in there. How is this board behaving? It is so weird. And now both are recognized. As you can see, now there's SK Hynix in the team group 1. Let me just continue to add RAM and see if this will work. And now, having put this stick RAM in, it's already not working anymore. It already didn't like it, me putting in that RAM stick. The kind of behavior that this board is putting on is so weird. So, I expect there to be either cracks in the actual board because it is bent, and maybe the RAM sticks the RAM sockets don't work properly. Okay, we did get boot out of it now. Let's see, R3, no, and now there's only a single stick recognized, while we have three sticks in there. There's something so weird here, because now only this one was recognized. It is like, I cannot tell you now if it's the RAM sockets that are dodgy or if it's the board itself that is dodgy. And it's still only one stick recognized, as you can see in the BIOS right there at the top. There's only a single stick, even though there's 3 sticks in here. So I've tested this back and forth, and I just cannot get it to consistently work. Like, this board is just behaving so weirdly. So I still think that there's something wrong with the board itself. That this will be for donor parts only, because this tester actually helped a lot. Like, at the beginning I was so confused why our voltages were jumping so much on it while it was displaying something, but now in retrospective it actually shows what is wrong with this board. Like, I took this and I just wiggled it around, and by wiggling it I noticed that some of the voltages appear and disappear. I don't know if these are like dry joints or if it's just the board or what is wrong here. And getting into the specific spot, I can see all the voltages being present. Like, it is unreal. Let me get the microscope view in here. You can see how everything is just jumping. Like, sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. It is awful. I will be cleaning some of these. Like, I will be applying a lot of IPA and will be trying to clean them, but I think there's just a physical problem actually with them not being soldered properly, or the board having intermittent connections. Yeah, let me try that. So I'm just done with this board. I've tried so many things. I've tried to, with this socket at the very right, I've just tried to resolder the pins at the bottom, and it just didn't get better. So I believe that something weird has happened with this board, like a solder bath having happened, and I really don't know how it got this bad, that the board got bent so much that just the RAM sockets do not want to get recognized at all. Like, making so many problems for me. Just like, just with a lot of pressure pushing down, I could get it to boot again. Like, this board has just micro cracks or similar things inside of it, and maybe replacing all of the RAM sockets completely would help, but this board is just not worth all the hassle. I'd rather just take it for spares. I'm happy that we could figure out what was wrong with this board. Like, the RAM tester really helped. Like, without this RAM test, I probably would have never guessed what was wrong with this board. Like, also, this RAM tester has a lot more features than just showing the voltages. It also has pads for probing some points, and like generating a reset signal and all of that. I don't really know how that works yet, but yeah, this tester is insanely good. It is expensive. 45 US dollars is expensive for this, but as far as I know, there's nothing comparable at the moment out there. Only some Russians have made something very similar, but you can't get anything from Russia. So yeah, I really like this tool. I'm thankful for that he sent that over. Also have a DDR3 tool. Just the same thing with DDR3, but it's not being powered by this, but some voltage in the socket. And one more thing that I didn't get to show you here is this right here. Let me quickly unpack it. This is an adapter for BIOS chips. I've shown you one of these before that I got from AliExpress, but this one has even more different footprints. And as you can see, LX off, a laptop, MacBook, SPI flash, adapter version 2.0. Like, this has pin headers that come in the package also, that you can solder on here and then put this into your programmer. And this has so many different options of soldering different chips onto here. And yeah, it's really well made. I can definitely recommend it, especially because it is very cheap. I think it's like less than 10 bucks. And yeah, I've gotten one of these from China, but who needs those if you can have this one, which is even better? It doesn't have the weird switch that the Chinese ones use, and this even has more that you can solder on. And yeah, very thankful for this for the partnership. I can just recommend it. Like, this thing especially, I'm really excited to be using this in the future. And I wouldn't have been able to get this far with this board as I've gotten now without those. Like, I didn't get the board fixed, sadly, but at least I was able to prove the fault and now know what it mostly is responsible for. And I was just only able to do that because of the RAM tester, because of showing me that some of the voltages were missing. And now we got boot again. I just wanted to get a last boot out of this before this thing gets thrown into the yeah, probably into my spare bin. I might sell it like that, telling them that the board is bent and it has issues with the DRAM. Who knows? But I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed this video, even though it was all over the place. But yeah, this was mainboard-medic. Thank you very much, and goodbye.